How do you advise your client on what is the average time to expect for a pre-buy? Like, I mean, do you tell them, okay, we're probably going to be 4 weeks, or we're going to be, because you're trying to close the aircraft. I mean, there's other things just other than the pre-buy.
A lot of moving parts going on.
A lot of stuff's going on, and sometimes you have deadlines. There's guys trying to buy them for tax purposes or divest themselves of the aircraft for tax purposes. So you've got deadlines. How do you advise your client on what this is going to be a process of X amount of weeks, or is that kind of dynamic? Does it change from aircraft to aircraft, or do you have a rule of thumb?
No, it does. It changes from aircraft to aircraft, from maintenance facility to maintenance facility, and from time to time. So that, again, is where communication is extremely important. Being able to pick up the phone and call Gary Brown and say, hey, Gary, I've got a pre-buy. We need to start in a couple of weeks. What's that look like right now? How busy are you? How, is this? And he'll tell me straight. It's going to take 4 or 5 days to do the inspection. After that, as you know, Chip, it depends on what's wrong with the airplane. So in most cases, on most airplanes, the inspection part takes 2 weeks or less. Depends on the shop, depends on the complexity of the airplane, but usually that's a 2 week or less process. That's easy to understand. 2 things that really matter after that is what's wrong with the airplane, because that's, it's going to take the time it takes to make those repairs. Nothing we can do about that. That is a given. Whatever's wrong with the airplane is going to take a certain amount of time to fix. But the thing that I see that is probably the largest occurrence that should, through communication, be avoided is you guys send out the list to the seller and the buyer, and then there's 4 or 5 days of going back and forth, who pays for what, whose side of the ledger is this on, we don't want to pay for this.
While that plane is sitting idle in the shop. While that plane is
sitting idle in the shop, taking up space that you desperately need, taking up time that the buyer and seller both, that's precious to the buyer and seller. So that's a focus for us, is what else can we do to make sure that the buyer and seller understand that when they get that list, they need to get it approved, get it signed, get it back to the maintenance facility so they can keep rolling. Because if we let it set a week, it may set another week while you guys are retasking because you moved on to another project.
Well,
you're waiting on us.
It's interesting you say that, because we've put a focus on that as well. We have a portal now to where when we send that list out, you can access that portal, check the list, and electronically approve or disapprove of things or reject things based on, and so it kind of expedites it a little bit as well. So if your client is on vacation, he can take a little bit of time talking to you and say, yeah, let's go ahead and do this and do this and do that, and then resubmit it, and we can continue and never miss a beat. There's not those 3 or 4 or 5 days of downtime waiting for someone to approve something.
And one of the things we've always done and encouraged during that process, or even just during a simple maintenance process, is that representative of that aircraft, buyer, seller, whatever it is, at our facility on the floor. And as things happen, we're taking care of it. Some places don't do that, and it's neither good or bad, but one of the things that we do and do well is you're right there at the airplane, and if decisions are made, things keep going. And so it's basically time keeping the deal moving.
Yeah, it works for everybody, the buyer, the seller, and even the shop.